What up? Happy Thursday, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for coming back. First and foremost, let's update on the Minica waffle. So as of right now, there are 75 slots sold, 175 to go, which in my opinion is amazing. I've been saying over and over that I want this to fill up before I go to Japan, but even better, like in my perfect world, this to fill up within like the next week or 10 days, because once I get back with my new Kei Car, I kind of still want to have control of shipping, you know, meeting the next person, kind of handling all the logistics and everything. Worst case scenario, I could always just have one of my friends drive it like I've been saying, but I would hope that this fills up, you know, relatively quickly, which it's doing. Honestly, it's been less than 2 days and we're already over 25% done. Also, I'm going to be doing a free slot in this video. I already did a free slot on Patreon. Let's do a free slot for all the YouTube homies. Make sure to watch the whole video, comment whatever I'm going to tell you guys to comment, and like if you haven't already. Before we get into the 5 things I hate about the Minica, which you guys see in the title, I want to tell you an update on the surprise car. So I'm picking this car up. It's on a boat right now, so it's not already, you know, stateside or nothing like that. I'm picking it up in a boat, and I have to drive kind of far picking it up. It's not like the end of the world, but I have to drive pretty far with my new Kei Car, and I want to meet, you know, maybe some people throughout the route. So I'm gonna mention everything on Patreon maybe this weekend, so I can kind of have an idea of who I can see. Hopefully I get some of you guys on the channel, because it's gonna be a pretty epic road trip in a car that, you know, I've never had before, I've never owned. I know, you know, a little bit about it, but I don't know too much about it. And I think just, you know, doing the road trip in a new car is going to make the video even better. So I have a lot of exciting content coming next week. And then right after that, we're going to Japan. So I think it's like it's back to back. It's like new Kei Car in a couple days. I'm going to drive it back to New York. And then after that, boom, we're headed off to Japan for almost a month. And then that content is going to be insane. So like I've been saying, if you haven't subscribed to my Patreon, consider doing it, because I will be saying a lot on there that I may not say on here. But with all that being said, it's usually a lot harder to do the 5 things I hate than the 5 things I love, especially in a car like this that I already put so much time and money into it. Like, this car is done. If I got it when I first bought it, it'd be a lot easier to name 5 things I hate, but there's not a lot. Honestly, I could only really think of 4, so I'm gonna see if I can find that 5th one while recording this video. But the first thing that I hate about the Minica is that it's basically a big 2-seater. As someone that just owned a Honda Beat, I wouldn't go as far to say it's the same thing. Obviously, I have this whole hatchback. These technically are seats. I do technically have seat belts. I could put this seat a lot forward, but it really is just another 2-seater. So unlike the AZ1 or Cappuccino or Honda Beat or really any 2-seater, this does have a real amount of storage. If you put these seats down, you get a lot of space. I wish there was a way that I could extend them, but they're pretty much bolted in and there's nothing you can do about it. But I want to demonstrate exactly, you know, what the seating position would be like if there was an actual adult back there. So let's slide this seat all the way forward, hit this. Let's get in the back. This is me all the way in the back. I'm 5'9". Headroom really isn't an issue. I guess you could say elbow room really isn't the best. But now let's put the seat back up. This is as much as it can go, because I'm already kind of drilling into this person and my back is all the way back here. I'm not comfortable at all. I would not want to sit like this. I feel like my knees are almost in my stomach. I would not want to select this for a while, but what I'm going to do now is leave through the trunk, and I want to see what it would be like if I was actually sitting up front as well. Let's say someone like this, 5'9", was sitting back here, and let's see how close my knees would be up to the dash. Moment of truth. Oh wow, I'd be literally touching. I'd have to sit across this little groove right here. This is how I would have to sit. It's not very comfortable. So although this is not technically like a 2-seater, it's really a 2-seater, which could be annoying. Number 2 is something that, for me, you know, I don't think everyone would hate it, but for me, there isn't a lot of aftermarket support. I think I did an amazing job on the Minica. I didn't do anything too crazy. You know, I found some rims on Facebook Marketplace. I painted them white. I got the calipers blue. I added underglow, which could kind of go on any car. But for someone who just had a Beat, for someone who owned like a Jimny, the aftermarket support and really just the knowledge on this car is very minimal. Simple things like finding an oil filter, trying to tune the carb, really any information online, it doesn't really exist for this specific Minica. I'm not sure if the Topos are any better. I know those come turbo, so there's obviously a lot more aftermarket support, but I don't really see a lot of those on YouTube. I don't really see a lot of them on the forum. I don't see a lot of them on Facebook. I don't really see too much information on Minicas. And then you get a carbureted, you know, kind of stockish, very boring looking version. There's even less. I still think I did a pretty good job with working with the knowledge I had. I was able to get spark plugs, wires, oil change. We even added a strut bar, which is super simple. Luckily it fit. It wasn't for this model, but I took the chance and luckily it fits perfectly fine. But if you're someone who's really into modding Kei cars, you don't really want the stock look, the 32V Minica, it's not the best. So for number 3, we're gonna pop the hood, and it's kind of piggybacking off this exact chassis model. And this definitely affects me now that it's getting colder. But the third thing that I hate about the Minica is the fact that it's carbureted. This is my 10th Kei car that I owned on the channel, and this is my second carbureted one. The first one I ever had was my S83 Hijet. I didn't even know what a carburetor was, so I was like, oh, whatever. It was $5,000. I bought it. Since then, I kind of try to stay away from the carbon ones. I want to fuel inject. It's just a lot easier now that the temperatures are sometimes hot, they're sometimes cold. It gets annoying. And this one being carbureted, you know, it isn't the end of the world. I try to start it right now. I might start right away, but on really cold days, like today's not too cold, but the last couple days it's been in the 40s. So let me grab the keys now. I'll do a live test. They're probably gonna start right away because, like I said, it's not too cold, and I do want to adjust the carb a little bit, but like I was saying earlier, there isn't any information, so I'm just gonna go to my cousin's house, see if I can play with it a little bit. But let's see if it'll start. It's a cold start too, if no one believes me. I'll touch the motor just so you guys know. This is a one take, like there's nothing. I could open this. The car is good, you know what I mean? We're good. Now, will we get a quick start? Okay, we got a quick start. Sometimes it doesn't though, sometimes it doesn't. I'm happy it did right now, but sometimes, you know, it takes a little bit. I gotta give it a couple like pumps of gas, and then it starts up right away. But that is one thing that I don't love. If I had to choose between carbureted and fuel injected, I'm obviously gonna go fuel injected. And before we get into the last two things I hate about the Minica, to be honest, there isn't any more. Like, one of the ways that we're gonna get the free slot is I actually want you guys to comment below something that you hate about the Minica, and then I'm gonna add all those comments. Only comment once too, it just makes it a lot easier. But I'm gonna add all those comments together, and then I'm gonna put them in the wheel, and then I'm gonna let, you know, the winner, whoever wins it that way. But I want you guys to comment below, because I can't find two more things I hate about the Minica. I could say it's slow, but it's really not that slow. Like right now I'm going 35, going downhill granted, but all the way down, you know, it picks up. It's not that slow. It's not that slow for me to be like, I hate the fact that it's slow. And then, you know, I could piggyback and say I hate that it's automatic, but now I'm in traffic and I love that it's automatic. So that's something I hate either. So honestly, there's really just 3 things that I could say I genuinely dislike about the Minica. But besides that, it's been a pretty good ride. With that being said, comment below something that you hate about the Minica. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say. Like, I feel like I kind of touched on the points. I guess some people could say they hate the way it looks, but I love the way it looks. I love the visibility. When I get to the 5 things I love, I can go on for days, but there's not really that many things I don't like about it. So I end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll tell you guys exactly who won the free slot, and then stay tuned for the Montana videos. I'm gonna call them later today and we're gonna get an answer. I know some people said it depends on the state, and I guess I should have broke that down earlier. Obviously there's not one thing that is gonna be accepted across the board, but for me, someone that lives in New York, I know people who live in California that do it, and I know people who live in other states that do it, and they all have LLCs in Montana, and that's the way they ride their cars. It's not necessarily Kei cars, because if you don't know, the real kicker to Montana is not really the Kei aspect, it's the fact that you don't have to pay a sales tax. So a lot of people buy like G-Wagons and supercars, and they get them registered in Montana to save hundreds of thousands of dollars, in comparison to us, that the only reason that us Kei people are gonna do it is that we just don't want to deal with the DMV. That's really it. We're not really trying to save money on sales tax. Our cars aren't, you know, even more than $10,000 for the most part. So stay tuned for that video. That's coming very soon too. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Remember the name. This is way before the fame.